Hello everybody, it's LE Diecast, and you don't get to see me too much in my videos. Usually you see my hands or you see what I'm working on. I'm going to give you an update on where the channel is. It's something I've been promising now for a few episodes and kept putting it off. So I'm going to tell you what's going on with the channel and hopefully answer some of the questions that I've been getting. So as you know, if you've been watching, especially about the last 6 or 7 episodes, we've moved. We moved from California to Oklahoma. That was a job thing. My job that I had in California is very similar to the job that I've got out here. Very happy in a new job. I'm a dean of digital arts and programming degrees at a local university. So even though I probably never come across that way in the video, that's actually what I do in my real life. But very happy in the new job, and the adventure of moving across the country probably affected the channel as much as our daily lives. So just to let everybody know, now the family is out here. They've been out here for a while. The house in California sold. Everything worked out great. The move probably went smoother than I would have expected it to, and so the family is now back together. And so with that in mind, there are some changes to the channel, and some of those are, I think, forced by just a new location. In California, I had built a little network of friends and folks I could get to at conventions and yard sales, and just knew where to find we'll call them the assets that we needed for the video. That was mainly those big lots of die-cast cars. And it was really easy because really what I was doing a lot over the last couple of years is anything that wasn't selling at conventions or gatherings, even a local swap meet. If it wasn't selling, then folks would call me and they knew that I would give them a certain price per pound or per car, and then that's how we were getting a lot of the parts that you see in the video, all those different Hot Wheels and the large bins full of loose Hot Wheels, and that's kind of where the channel's been for about the last 2 years. Also the customs, it's very easy for me to be around the Hot Wheels hobby, especially the customs hobby, when I was in California. The national convention is out there every year, and then obviously there's a lot of customizers in California. So that's not to say I still can't keep in touch with everybody. I still can't get to the conventions. That's something we're going to keep doing. But out here in Oklahoma, they obviously have Hot Wheels. Very easy to get the newest Hot Wheels, far, far easier than it was in California. But everything else really needs to be shipped in. There are collectors out here. I've met some folks. We've got the Tulsa Hot Wheels convention that does show up out here, but it's a smaller group, and I really am not tied into that group well enough yet to keep things rolling with the channel as you're used to. It took quite a few boxes of cars coming in to make it work. And the shipping for everything out here I don't want to get into, because that's why we moved out here, was to save some money. So with that in mind, and as I was traveling across the country and we drove out here, I drove out with my son, it really dawned on me that this is a whole different opportunity here in we'll call it the Midwest, in that I can go out and see things far, far easier than I could in California. Obviously there's no traffic. The weekends just seem longer. We can get to further away places and see stuff. The collecting of parts and pieces for things like dioramas is much, much, much easier than it was in California, where I really always felt a little hemmed in and couldn't get out enough because of it just took a long time to get anywhere in California. And out here, I mean, we could go halfway across the state in half a day. So we have been exploring, and in all that, it really changed my interest for the channels. So it it occurred to me a while back that the channel itself, I don't want it to just be focused on Hot Wheels. I really want it to be focused on the things that interest me, and Hot Wheels are a big part of that, obviously, but the dioramas and the building of new stuff, I just feel like we can do a lot more where we're at. And I should mention, the channel had started many, many, many years ago as something me and my son could do together, and he was probably, I don't know, 6 or something when we started. And the collecting of the little cars and everything was fun, and he really enjoyed it. Well, he's in his teenage years now, and even though he still enjoys the hobby with me, we go out together and we collect together. With him being older, the going out and creating new things, and I think getting into the workshop and expanding what we can do beyond just the dioramas and the custom Hot Wheels will be good for us. So that's where the channel is going to be moving to. So if you watch the channel for the Hot Wheels or for the toys, it's still going to have a big chunk of that. We found 3 new bins of Hot Wheels that's got thousands of them in them. So we're still going to do things with the Hot Wheels. The dioramas is something I really enjoy, and those will continue to be a part of the show. The miniatures, or that even blends over into the railroad hobbing and the miniature gaming, that will continue. But I do want to expand the show out into other things, playing around with other types of toys, maybe tearing other types of things apart, building other types of things. Even my job has a makerspace associated with it, so I have access to more tools than I used to. And I've just found myself watching shows like Evan and Caitlin, Nerd Forge, Real Train Hobbies, Bobby Duke Arts, Kayakasaurus, tons of other shows where they don't just focus on one thing, they kind of jump around and just kind of set goals and make stuff on the fly and just see how it goes. That excites me a lot more, and I think as I, with my son being the age he is, I think that would probably be better for us too. But also it fits our new environment in that we can get to those materials and we can go out and see things a lot more. So expect a few changes in the show. I also, as you can see here, the workshop is now set up. The lighting is now set up. That's actually been what's been taking the longest piece. My old setup was meant for a much smaller space, and this particular workshop I can now move around in and film myself moving around it a little bit better than we could before. So it's actually a bigger space. It's about 3 times as big as what I used to have. I know it looks about exactly the same as it did, but trust me, it's bigger. And so you'll see, I think it'll improve the show quite a bit. And overall, I expect that there'll just be some changes in the show and style as we get away from the the Hot Wheel toy-based show and start to branch out. So I'm excited about it. I hope that you'll start seeing more regular videos post, and we can kind of get back to doing what we do in the show. Just to give you a hint of what the first round of things will be, and it'll probably be the next few episodes that you can see. The dioramas that you have seen in the show, well, those shipped across the country too. And when I came out, I only came out in my car. So the dioramas were going to have to come out in a moving truck. I had packed the dioramas before I left. They were packed for about 6 months before we actually moved. And I totally just figured those dioramas would be destroyed. Even if they got tumbled upside down once, those dioramas were just going to be mashed. And I figured they weren't going to make the move at all. But most of the dioramas that you have already seen on the show made the move just fine. The supplies, a lot of which were pretty delicate, things like twigs and sagebrush and all sorts of parts and pieces, those made the move too. A few of the dioramas got tumbled upside down, even though they were very much labeled up. I think my first cue was when the moving truck door opened, and the first box I saw was one of the diorama boxes that had a very clear up and arrow sign on it, and it was sideways pointing this way. So I knew we were going to have trouble. We're going to put those dioramas back together. Now I've already put all the dioramas back together. Two of them were pretty damaged. The rest were great. And I saved the last one to do on the video, and used the other one in putting it together to kind of test out the workshop and make sure I can move around and get the items that I'm used to getting, and really that the electrical was set up so that I wasn't jumping all over the place. I hope that fills everybody in on what we're doing. I fully expect, for all the reasons you watch the show, that you'll still see a lot of the things that you recognize, but I'm excited that we're going to be involving a few other things in the show. And just like when we started this show, we really didn't have a plan. You know, this is just something that I do in my spare time. It's something I enjoy doing. And I expect if you guys want to follow along on the journey, you'll see all sorts of new things, and learning of how to make new things along the way. Well, that's going to be it for this. Thanks, everybody. And in the next video, it won't be me that you just have to look at. We'll actually have some stuff to build. So that's it. Thanks. Bye-bye.